back on the Put on Raiders podcast. Dwayne Douglas here, along with Ryan Holmes. The Raiders playing the Colts this week, and listen, it's going to be Sunday morning early before we find out who's going to play in this game. This is COVID central. Is a little bit too much. I'm not even sure how this whole thing works. I get information from a lot of different people. I know a report said today that as long as Wentz doesn't have symptoms, he doesn't have to test. But then, somebody like Waller who tests positive has to test. So it's has to kind of test to get off of it. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, I know the Raiders did get Brian Edwards back. So his cardio session on 10 o'clock on Sunday will continue. As far as that goes, we'll see what happens there. Let's just go some questions real quick. From the 808, can Jacobs continue his success? Jacob from the 808, out there in Hawaii, can he continue his success? It's a different defensive line. You got to find where that beast in the middle is on every single play. So that's going to be tough to deal with. But hopefully this offensive line can really keep moving people. If you believe in PFF, they graded pretty well last week. So we'll see what happens this week against the Colts.
Yeah, this one's difficult. I threw the film on and watched the second half of that game. That offensive line was coming off the ball, and Denver's got some run stuffers in the middle.
Yeah.
Shelby Harris, Mike Purcell, Bradley Chubb's not a slouch. They got some linebackers that can come downhill and hit, and the Raiders' offensive line had their way. That was the best Josh Jacobs has looked, in my opinion, since his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened at halftime, but when he came out in the second half, you saw that lower half a bit agility back. You saw the jump cuts. You saw him drive piles for 4 or 5 yards. You saw him make people miss. And that's the Josh Jacobs that we were looking for this entire year. He showed up on the second half at Denver. Now, can they go on the road and do that? Can they block DeForest Buckner? Grover Stewart in the middle is a big guy that's hard to move for the Colts. He's a very good run-stuffing defensive tackle. And then, we haven't even talked about Darius Leonard being in the middle, who might be the best middle linebacker in football, him and Fred Wagner. And then Bobby Okereke's another good linebacker. So will they be able to run it as well as they get against Denver? I'm going to say no, but they have a chance to still run the ball enough to do some play action. They're going to have to run the ball because, the Colts are number one in the NFL in takeaways. They can't draw back and throw the ball 45 times against the Colts. They're going to turn the ball over 3 times.
Yeah, no question about it. I think that's a big thing for the Raiders in this game. They got to just keep them honest as far as that goes. From Twitter, who is the Raiders MVP this so far this year?
Oh, the Raiders MVP this year. I'll just say, this is tough. I'm gonna have a tie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it's Max Crosby and Hunter Renfrow. Would be the two guys for me. Hunter Renfrow on offense, he's going to go over 100 catches. He's been very vital cog since, obviously they've lost Ruggs and now Waller's been out for 3 weeks. And just what Max Crosby brings to that defense in terms of pressures, sacks, the motor, just, the spirit he brings out there that the teammates can follow. So I would go with those two guys as a tie as the MVP.
Yeah. I probably just to be different. I'm gonna go not different, but I do appreciate what being that constant force on the offensive line Colton Miller brings to the Raiders. So he's been a guy who I really appreciate what he does. And as far as I just can't. I gotta stay with Renfrow as well too. Defense. As far as those guys too, but defensively, I just think. Maybe because I kind of, for some reason, I don't know why I expected Crosby to go off this year. I don't know why, but just the way everybody was talking about it, just the way his confidence was, I felt like he was going to. So I wouldn't go offense. If I want to go offense and defense, I'll go Colton Miller on offense, and then I'll go with Denzel Perryman, who just kind of surprised me. I thought it was just a throw-in kind of player, and he ended up just being. He's a boss, man. He really is just. Nobody escapes his tackles. He's just he moves the pile, man. Like he just gets through it. And some of his open field tackling ability is special. It really is beautiful to watch as far as that goes. Mike from the text line. Will Waller be back? I'm hearing all sorts of rumors. He's on a contract, right? So is he in
yeah, back this week? No. Back against the Chargers. Hopefully. Will he be back in 2022? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Go to
Yeah.
Vegas and bet on Darren Waller being a Las Vegas Raider in 2022. They're not
Yeah.
getting rid of Darren Waller.
Yeah, no, Darren Waller, definitely not happening. Two free agent guys who you would resign. Bill on Instagram, thank you, Bill. Two guys who are free agents. So basically, I think it's two guys who are free agents, like 1 year deal
Yeah,
guys that you want to bring back.
yeah. I look at Casey Hayward on the defense. You know, if Gus Bradley comes back, you absolutely have to bring Casey Hayward back. So let's just
How much
assume
would
Gus
that
Bradley's
cost?
coming back.
How much would that cost? Because he's
Well, at his age, he's I think he's going to be 32 next year. So you can probably get him on a 2-year deal, probably somewhere in the $7 to $8 million range. So probably 2 years, 15 million. I think it's fine for a player that's played as well as Casey Hayward has played.
yeah.
He would obviously be number one. If we go to the offensive side of the ball, the Raiders don't have a lot of free agents over there.
No.
All the wide receivers are coming back, but Darren Waller's under contract. The line is under contract. You could make an argument for Denzel Good. Now, I don't know if they're going to bring him back based on the injuries and what they're going to do with Leatherwood. So I'd probably flip back over the defense, and I'd say Solomon Thomas, who's played very well as a sub-package defensive tackle. Just the hustle that he brings. He's actually showed pretty well against the run lately. He's gotten some pressure. So I'm going to go with those two guys, Casey Hayward and Solomon Thomas.
Let me roll with I think I only have one guy really. I think Darius Leonard has just, as a backup, he's a backup guy, but I just want to keep that depth going. I thought he was great against the run. Watching him against the run this week was good for him, dude. And he was
all over the place.
He was all over the place. And there were some times where his get off was so good that the other defensive linemen were still in the ground, and he was burst through, and he just blew up plays there. As far as that goes, offensively, it's pretty much everybody's signed, right? There's somebody going nowhere on offense. I can't even think.
Zay Jones. He's a free agent, I think.
I don't mind Zay as long as he's not going deep down the field. But no, I think offensively, I think defensively would be. I don't think there's anybody. Perryman would be a guy who you want to bring back. He's
already under contract.
He's under contract for next year. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. As far as my biggest guy would be Phylon, because I like those role players. I like those role players a lot, and I do like. I loved. Well, I forgot his name now. The guy who was on the Raiders who went to the Colts.
Danico Autry.
I love Danico Autry a lot as a player. So, having those guys, those depth pieces were huge for teams. You need those depth pieces on the defense, offensive line, and in the secondary as well too. So you gotta get those guys as well. The Colts, a whole different kind of monster, right? So they have, what is, everybody every 2 years we have another back who's like the best back in the league, and this Jonathan Taylor seems like he is that back now. Just relentless, just always running downhill, has the ability to run by people, as we saw in last year in a Gunther's defense last year. He had a huge game against the Raiders. I don't think it's as easy to just stop him and then let Wentz throw the football, because Wentz can't beat you. What are your thoughts about the Colts game, and can the Raiders beat the Colts? Can they realistically do it? They're 7.5-point dogs going into this one.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor's the best running back in football. He got it done last week with backup offensive lineman in. It sounds like the Colts are going to get 3 of those guys back. So Quentin Nelson's going to be back. Glowacki, the right guard, is back, and I believe Braden Smith has a chance to come back. The only one that won't, I think Ryan Kelly's going to be back too, off of the unfortunate passing of his young daughter. And then you have, I think Eric Fisher's the only one that's not going to play. So there should be a weakness at left tackle there, but clearly with those other guys, it's not going to matter. The Raiders need to stop the run this week, and they've been pretty good at it the last 2 weeks. I'll give them credit. Like what they did against Denver, I did not see coming. Defensively with 8 guys in the box, especially without John Abram in there as well. So, but if you put 8 in the box, Carson Wentz has got some options outside now. Like T.Y. Hilton's pretty good. He can still get it done for 3 or 4 catches a game. You got Michael Pittman, who's turning into a monster on the outside. They got Paris Campbell back today for practice, another speedster they took out of Ohio State. And then he's got some trust in some of the outside guys. I think Austin Bullen, number 16, has played well the last couple of weeks. And then the tight ends, Mo Alley Cox, he scored against the Raiders, former basketball player, pretty athletic tight end. Jack Doyle's another one. So they have guys, not big name guys. These aren't Pro Bowl level players, but all these guys are pretty good players, and they can spread the ball around. The Raiders are going to have to get pressure on Carson Wentz, because if you can get around him, he will turn the ball over, or at least give you an opportunity to make interceptions. Having said that, I'm more worried about how is this offense, the Raiders offense, going to score against the Colts defense. They have really good players at all three levels. They have a Pro Bowl defensive tackle, a Pro Bowl middle linebacker, two good cover corners, that probably the best slot corner in Kenny Moore in the league. They have two young safeties back there. They're pretty good. They play a lot of cover two, so they're going to take away a lot of the deep balls. The Raiders have to run the ball this week and get them out of that cover two defense. They have to get that eighth guy in the box. So if the Raiders can't run the ball with 6 or 7 in the box, it's going to be a long day for this offense. I love Hunter Renfrow, but Kenny Moore, that guy's special. That guy's going to be able to cover him up more times than not. So who on this offense without Darren Waller? Is it Foster Moreau? Is it Josh Jacobs out of the backfield? Is it Zay Jones? Is it Deshaun Jackson? The Raiders haven't faced a team that's played a lot of cover two this year, so this is kind of a defense they haven't played against. So can they beat the Colts? Yeah, I think there is a way they can. Obviously you can win any Sunday in the NFL. It's going to be very difficult going on the road at 10 a.m. To do this. They can't turn the ball over. They can't have a game with 2 or 3 turnovers. If they turn the ball over 2 or 3 times, they will lose this game. And they'll lose this game pretty convincingly, in my opinion. I think that line is about right. I think the Colts are about a 7-point, better team than the Raiders. We'll do predictions later on, but the Raiders might need a big punt block, a punt return, a defensive score, maybe a couple turnovers from Wentz, some short fields for this offense. So they're going to have to play a complete game for the first time this year in all 3 phases to walk out of Indianapolis with a W.
Yeah, that's a mouthful, and I concur with a lot of it. And for me, the reason, and like you'll see in the pick section, and I'm kind of leaning towards not picking the Raiders in this game, is the fact that I don't know how a turnover-prone running back and a turnover-prone offensive unit, I don't want to, Hunter Renfrow has some fumbles. Brian Edwards has had some fumbles.
Zay Jones has some fumbles.
Zay Jones has some fumbles, and Derek Carr, you could say this is not how I feel about it. This is factual information. If he fumbles almost on every time he gets sacked. Like there's not even sacks where the ball doesn't move. Like it's just like, he always gets sacked. And I think that's like something that I really don't think is a good recipe against, Quiddy Pay and against DeForest Buckner and all those guys up front. You can't keep turning the ball over. Can he play it? If the quarterback can just play a clean game and they can just punt the football when they win, and some at times where they don't have anything going on offensively, then yeah, they can stay in this game and make some plays. I mean, they were tooth and nail last week against the Cardinals last week. So I mean, I think the Raiders can hang with them. But, I don't know how they can get through the game without a turnover. I just do not. And I just don't see how they don't turn over at least once or twice in this ball game. And they're not playing a defense that can force any. And when they do get one in the air, only person who I feel like is comfortable picking the ball off is Nate Hobbs. Like he's the only person who I feel comfortable who has the ball skill. Casey Hayward can cover, but he doesn't really he doesn't really catch the football. If you will, as far as that goes. Offense, defense. I mean, I just don't. I think the one thing that in this game that could happen, and I thought it happened against the Denver game, is that I think you're going to see Carson Wentz try to throw the football a little bit in this game if he plays. I know he hasn't been in the facility. He's been isolated. He's getting all the information on the Raiders. They're only playing three defenses anyway, so it's not going to be too difficult for him to figure that out. But what are your thoughts about him? I just feel like him and Carr are a little bit similar in a lot of ways. If you got that pressure on him, he's going to turn the ball over. They both can make a couple of 2 or 3 wild throws. Like, he had one in where he was scrambling up in the pocket, made a touchdown pass that kind of iced the game against the Cardinals. And then last week, Carr had one in the corner pylon throw to Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, I mean, don't look now, but Derek Carr leads the NFL quarterbacks in fumbles lost again this year. I don't know how many times in his career, but he's up there. But Carson Wentz was the same way last year. He's done a better job protecting the ball this year. Yeah. But I think, the Raiders have to, they can't rush 3 like the Cardinals did against Wentz in the red zone. They got to get coming after him. They got to trust the guys on the back end. I'll give credit to Gus Bradley. It seems like he blitzes more with Diablo on the field. He likes to bring Diablo as an extra rusher. I actually saw for the first time all year, and I put it on Twitter, that they brought a simulated pressure with Diablo, and they had Max Crosby drop out on the flat, the first time I've seen Max Crosby in coverage all year, so that was interesting. But, Bradley's going to have to mix it up. I think the other players are going to have to step up too. I don't know. Is Keyshawn Nixon going to play? He had a really good game playing slot cornerback. Nate Hobbs came back, did not play on defense. He played on special teams only. I'd expect Nate Hobbs to get back in, but you probably will see some Keyshawn Nixon. Dallin Levitt, he held up pretty good in that game there. He didn't make any glaring mistakes where you were kind of scratching your head. Tyree Gillespie, I liked what I saw from Gillespie on film. Now, he didn't make any wild plays, but he was where he was supposed to be. He was covering the right person. He didn't have any mental lapses from what I saw. Desmond Trufant played really well on the outside. Again, it's against Drew Lock, so I don't know what to take from it. But I liked what I saw from some of those guys. They're going to be counted on again this week. I think this is a low-scoring game. I don't think either one of these offenses is going to march up and down the field. I think the Raiders defense is going to show up again. I think Max Crosby is going to have a decent game. Whoever the Colts line up at left tackle, I think is going to have an issue too. Whoever goes against him, whether it's Crosby or Ngakoue.
One thing I forgot to look up: are the Colts a team that does a lot? Do they go a lot on fourth down?
Yeah, they're pretty aggressive on
fourth down. Yeah, so
I would too if I had Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, well, if third and short, especially, my guy, forget about it. Michael Pittman, obviously a guy you got to watch out for. 116 targets, 76 catches. So he'll definitely get 1,000 yards in this game. 1,000 yards, over 1,000 yards in this particular game. So you got to watch him as well. But he's a contested catch guy. Like, he's not necessarily a guy who you're going to go down the field to, but I think T.Y. Hilton can still make plays. They're going to spread. They have a number one, but they're going to spread around a lot. They're going to spread the ball around a lot. And I think Cox is a guy who could give the Raiders some issues as well. Has 4 touchdowns on the season in this game. It's hard because in these games, the players have to do it because it's not really, you can't sit there and say they're going to get schemed because this coach is not, they go into every game with a coaching deficit every single game. Like, I mean, it's just the bottom line. So I'm not sure how, but Frank Wright definitely knows how to get his team prepared for a game like this more so than Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah, I think the key, if I'm the Raiders offense, I'm circling number 34 on defense for the Colts. I'm going after, I think his name is Isaiah Rodgers. He's a kick returner, pretty good kick returner, but he's a young corner who's had to play a lot lately. If I can get Deshaun Jackson lined across Xavier Rhodes and try to get him in a track meet, Xavier Rhodes can't run with Deshaun Jackson even at 35 years old. So they're going to have to be creative and figure out, one, they got to get 34 involved as a run stopper. Can they, pitch the ball outside and make that guy come up and tackle? And then they're going to have to attack him in the passing game because I think, again, they're not going to be able to have the success over the middle of the field they're used to with Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke in there, and then clearly Willis and Blackman, the 2 safeties, are pretty good as well. And Kenny Moore's in the middle there too. So they have to work the outside against those corners. We're going to be playing a lot of cover too. So they got to be careful with those short passes. They could sit on them, take it to the house. This is going to be play action, run the football, and get Josh Jacobs and Peyton Barber going.
So
as far as –
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, give you, are we ready for predictions yet?
I was going to say one thing about it real quick because I always have a friend who I always kind of listens to the show, always we talk about different styles of defenses. and breaking them down. So like cover two, what's open in cover two when dropping cover two is mostly the seams that are open, the
down the
spot.
sideline and then down the middle of the field, trying to work between the safeties.
But you got to be on
the
time.
running
though.
backs in the flat are going to get tackled this week because they're going to have corners sitting out there.
Yeah. So yeah, they don't.
So I'm just warning you now.
I think there's somebody else who lives in Vegas who you might want to warn, not me.
Yeah,
because he likes to do that, and then the check down will not be there. Yeah. So maybe something else might be there.
Foster Moreau up the seam could be an option here.
You saw that last year, a touchdown on that last year too. So yeah, we'll see.
Some of these over routes where if they get time where they can take the receiver from one side of the field across to the other on a deeper pattern, could work here. Some corner routes, maybe some smash concept, kind of with a hitch with a corner behind it, or a corner route. So maybe that corner sits on the hitch and you get that ball before the safety can get over. So probably some of those balls to Zay Jones or Brian Edwards. But the Raiders haven't faced a lot of cover two this year. So this is going to be something where, hopefully Greg Olsen can come up with a good game plan. But I'm hesitant to say that they're going to be – I don't think they're scoring 20 points for the 8th out of 9th straight week.
God, Jesus. That's just gross to even say. It's the truth.
When I looked at it, I was like, literally like, okay, for the last 8 since the bye, they've basically been the Giants or the Texans. That's where they are. 16.6 points per game.
That's crazy. That's gross. That's gross.
That's Andrew Walter territory.
Right, yeah, but he didn't have the backing of half of the nation though. Derek has, I guess so.
It's not all Derek's fault. Like, don't get us wrong. There's a lot of
no. It's not all Derek's fault, but we know how Twitter can be crazy sometimes. You're picking this game. It's 7.5. It's not about covering this time of year. It's almost like, we wish you could press that reset button and play the Bears again, play the Giants again to get to 9 going into this game, but they don't have 9 wins going into this game. They only have 8. What are your thoughts about the Raiders in this ball game here? I think they'll play with they'll play hard. They'll play with a lot of heart. They'll do what they usually do when they're not playing the Chiefs. They'll be in the game and have a chance to win at the end. But what are your thoughts about the Raiders here?
Yeah, for me, we're going to know a lot quickly. So I think the Raiders have to survive the first quarter in this game. They can't fall down 10-0, 14-3 at the end of the first quarter, because they have to keep the running game involved in this game, because if they drop back and pass, they're not going to have a lot of lanes open to work the ball down the field against this defense. So
would you take the ball first? Would you take the ball first?
Yeah, I would want the ball first in this game, so I could try to just keep the ball away from the other team and don't give them more possessions. Yeah. Hopefully, like I said, if this game is 7-3, 7-6, 6-3, something like that coming out of the first quarter, I think the Raiders will be in good shape. Obviously, if they fall down 10-0, 14-0, 14-3, it's a long uphill battle. That line is, I think they want you to bet the Raiders in this game. They're giving you that half point, trying to entice you. I don't think I can do it. As much as I want the Raiders to win this game, I think this is a bad matchup for them. Just looking across, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart inside, Danico Autry inside on passing downs against, with Leatherwood and Simpson. The edge guys coming at Parker. They're not going to blitz a lot, but I just don't see, I think Hunter Renfrow is going to get covered up here with Kenny Moore. I just don't see a lot of plays being made if they can't run the football. And I think Frank Reich and that staff in Indianapolis knows what's at stake here and knows what they have in Jonathan Taylor and knows what the bread and butter of their football and their identity is. We might see another week where Carson Wentz only puts the ball in the air, maybe 14, 15 times, and Jonathan Taylor gets 30 carries. So I think the Colts are going to come out of there victorious, and it hurts me to do this because I want the Raiders to make the playoffs. There still is a path next week, even if they lose this week, if the Chargers lose to the Broncos. But if the Chargers beat the Broncos and the Raiders lose this week, it's over. But I think the Colts are going to win, and I think it's going to be pretty convincingly. I'm going to say 27-17. Yeah. I think they're going to win by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the same thing about the whole first quarter thing. I think that's going to be, if you can get, because like I don't know. Like I said, this whole hyperventilating in the first quarter, man. I just don't know what they with this offense. I mean, people try to come after the defense a lot on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. But I tell you, there's a lot of first quarters where they don't give up anything, or they give up 3 points and the offense doesn't get anything going. You can't really can't function that way and be a big time football team. And that's the problem with the Raiders here. I hate to say the season ends here, but I think it does. And I think, maybe maybe this will be a good thing for them to kind of get serious about the future of what this team needs to be. So they can be the Colts of in 2022. I mean, they can fix the offensive line and run the football on people's throats and not turn the ball over and play good defense and those things and those things. So I'm trying not to. I started watching the Colts in things with the Colts in the Hard Knocks. I'm trying not to fall in love with the Colts like everybody else is because they still are only look at the standings, and as great as the Colts are, they're only one game ahead of the Raiders in the standings. But I just think it's the matchup you talked about. And I also feel like the whole situation where how can Derek and Josh get through a game not turning the ball over? I just don't see how he's going to get hit in this game. He's probably going to get sacked in this game. I'm not sure where they line it. I'm not sure how many sacks they have on the year, but he's going to get sacked. So, and that means he's going to turn the ball over. And it seems like it happens all the time. So they don't score in the red zone. They can't throw deep in this game because of the style of defense that the Colts play. So I mean, that's just I don't know. I'm trying to be real on this show. We will still be texting during the show if the Raiders are up 10-0, going touchdown, whatever stuff like that, back and forth between us. But as far as winning the game, I don't know if I don't see how they win the game.
Yeah. And one of my favorite, guys on that coaching staff is Bubba Ventrone, the special teams coach. The Colts are coached very well at all levels. And it's funny when you think back, like that was supposed to be Josh McDaniels as the coach there, and then he backed out. So they kind of lucked into Frank Reich. The defensive coordinator was actually hired by Josh McDaniels, and then they got Bubba Ventrone to come over to be the special teams coach. So yeah, it's a tough team not to like, after watching the Hard Knocks. I really like that Colts staff. I like everything they do over there. Just kind of, even the players over there too. So it's going to be tough. I hope the Raiders win. I hope I'm wrong this week, but I just don't see how, if they play, there is a path here. If they run the ball for 120 yards, if they don't turn it over, if they can get long sustaining drives, if Carson Wentz gets sacked 4 times, Carson Wentz turns it over twice, if Jonathan Taylor doesn't go over 100, the Raiders' pass defense in 4 of the last 6 games has held quarterbacks under 200 yards, which is very good. I see all the EPA stuff going around on Twitter. The Raiders are the worst EPA pass defense in the league since the bye. I don't care about EPA if you're giving up 145 yards passing. You can take that stat and do whatever you want with it. And then even they're like, oh, the Raiders suck at run defense. The Raiders are like 15th in the league in EPA and run defense. So let's use EPA to say they suck at giving up points, but let's not use it to say they're actually stopping the run. But those are conversations, just like with PFF. I saw you tweet out about, you can't use it when it supports your agenda. Let's use it all the time. But yeah, this is a tough game. If you're a Raiders fan this week, and the Raiders lose this game to the Colts, turn on that Broncos and Chargers game and root like hell for the Broncos, because there is a very plausible path as long as the Chargers lose.
Is Teddy playing in that game? Teddy back yet?
No, it's Drew Lock. And the Broncos are putting a bunch of guys on the COVID list. I think they had 5 guys today. So hopefully the Raiders.
Is Herbert on COVID list?
No. The good thing is the Raiders have played well on the road. They're better on the road than they are at home. So let's talk the positives.
Yes, the positives, and also I think all 8 victories are against teams with 7 wins or more. Is that correct?
Probably.
Yeah, so it
wouldn't surprise me.
It was probably because they always lose some 3. They lost to some horrible teams, but they beat. The Eagles, they've beaten the Ravens. I mean, they've beaten the Steelers. So they've beaten a lot of teams with 7. They beat the Cowboys amazingly. So they have beat every game. So they usually play a little bit better and I usually feel a little bit at ease more when they're on the road. Because when
Yeah.
they're at home, you're not getting anything. You're not getting anything from this team as far as that goes. Do you have any picks for
Is it
the?
safe to say the Raiders defense is peaking at the right time? I mean, the last 2 weeks they've been pretty damn good.
They know that they know that defense, man. They know it. I mean, you can like I give him his. Can he be? I mean, if somebody does keep Gus Bradley, I mean, you gotta let him just run his defensive draft room because like he knows what he's doing. He knows exactly the length, everything he wants. It's like hand size, whatever. He knows exactly what he wants. Because the people he brought over has come over and played well. The players he's drafted. I can't wait to see what 2020 has for Gillespie. If he comes back, so we'll see what happens there. But we both picked the Raiders to lose this game. I think that it could get kind of ugly, but it all depends on that first quarter. That first quarter is huge. Like if you can get through an entire first quarter with like 3-3, 7-7, then you got something going. They get down by a large margin. You can forget about it. Did you get chance to go and pick 3 games? Because you're on fire and I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, I'm on fire, and I had the Colts on mine. I crossed them out just because I don't want to pick against the Raiders and then also pick the Colts as one of my picks. But let's just hope the Raiders go in and like they did in Dallas and put 14 on the board in the first quarter. Let's just do that. But my 3 games this week, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm taking Denver plus 6.5 against the Chargers. The Chargers haven't been playing well. That Denver defense is pretty good. It's a divisional game, and I just think they're going to be able to run the ball against the Chargers defense a lot better than against the Raiders. I think the Broncos are going to be mad at how the offense performed, and you're going to see a lot of Melvin Gordon. Now, I think the Chargers ultimately win this game, but 6.5 is a pretty good number to take. There's going to be a lot of Broncos fans in that stadium too. So I like Denver plus 6.5. I like Pittsburgh plus 3 at home against the Browns. Ben Roethlisberger's last home game in Heinz Field. He's retiring. He basically came out today and said that. I think that the energy in that stadium is going to be electric on Monday night for Ben Roethlisberger and his farewell tour. So I like Pittsburgh to win that game outright. So give me the 3 points as well. And then I like the Rams. I like the Rams going across country against Baltimore. We don't know who Baltimore's quarterback's going to be in this game. It's probably not going to be Lamar Jackson. The Rams are playing pretty well. I like that Rams defense. I like how they match up against Tyler Huntley if he has to play, or even Josh Johnson. So those are the games I like this week.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs 5.5. I think Philly will keep it rolling. I love that running game. They're playing at a real nice clip off on defense as well, top 5, and not there's a lot of DCs in this world. There's there's Daniel Carlson, there's Derek Carr, and then there's Dan Campbell. He's coming through this week. He's gonna cover the 7 points this week. He's gonna cover 7 points. They've been covering the last couple weeks, so I think that they're gonna cover again as far as that goes. Any other NFL things real quick? Steve Smith should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way. But anything else from the NFL this week that you want to kind of go over real quick before we go?
No, I just think, obviously COVID rules have changed. The new variants changed everything. We're seeing guys go on the list at record numbers after the league basically said we're not going to test anymore unless the players self-report. Now the vaccinated players don't have to sit out 10 days. It's only 5. So I think we're seeing the NFL is doing everything they can to make sure the money will end up in their pockets this year. They basically said, yeah, these protocols are cute and all, but screw this. We want these games played and we want to play in the playoffs. So which I think is kind of hypocritical. I don't agree with some of the changes they've made. I'm not going to get into whether it benefited one team or another and didn't, because I think that's irrelevant. I think the NFL basically has said over the last couple of weeks, like, we're going to do everything we can to make sure A, the games are played, and B, the best players are going to be on the field, regardless of vaccination status. Yes. Now, if I was a player that got vaccinated because of all the threats of forfeits and having to sit out 10 days and being tested every day, and now basically seeing all those rules thrown out the window, I'd kind of be upset with that.
Especially
I'm
if you're
not saying
a
don't
player.
Get vaccinated. Everyone should, but
yeah,
I mean these are got young guys in their 20s. A lot of them got vaccinated because they're kind of forced to by the league, and now the league's basically changing all the rules to make sure they put the money in their own pockets. But I think that's the big story going forward. Like, if you get test positive on Monday, you're good. You're good 5 days later. It's the people that are going to start testing positive on Tuesday, Wednesday, on Thursday. They're not going to play. It's very hard for these guys to get a negative test within like 3 or 4 days of testing positive. We just haven't seen a lot of it. So
Yeah.
test positive on Monday, you're good. Oh, and we'll see. Carson Wentz is an interesting one. He tested positive on a Tuesday. So I do believe he still has to test out on Sunday. He needs a negative test Sunday.
They said, I was watching a clip on Twitter from Ian Rappaport, and he said that he does not have to test out. He can just, as long as he doesn't have symptoms, he's fine to play.
So one of the 5, yeah. So that's interesting because they said after 5 days, you don't have to do anything. You can play. Yeah. So I don't know if the 5 day starts on Tuesday, because if it starts Wednesday, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the 5th day. So does that have to be the end of Sunday, the beginning of Sunday? I thought he could play if he.
Yeah. I think Waller can play
one negative test
if he has one negative test, right? But then it's like. But then it's like, if you feel like, I mean, if you're a player, like that kind of weird, because like, okay, he's unvaccinated, he gets tested on. So basically, if you can test your whole team on, if you can just test your whole team on Monday. Then you're good. Like you don't have to worry about anything. Just test the whole team on Monday, and everybody plays. So I don't know. This is going to get very weird over the next week and a half, and then obviously heading into the playoffs, how all these tests are going to go. Who's testing? Who's not testing? Who's self-reporting? Who's not? If you're a player in the playoffs. And you feel a little under the weather, are you going to say anything? Are you going to miss a potential playoff game by having to take a test? Or are you just going to say, and a lot of these teams, I think it'd be smart to just go virtual for the playoffs too. Get the guys out of the building. Don't get them around each other. Don't get close contacts. Yeah. So we're going to see a lot of things change over the next 2 or 3 weeks. You're going virtual at that part in the season. You're in the playoffs already, so everybody's paying attention. So it's not like you're going to worry about people slipping out the cracks like Gronk putting fake workouts on all that stuff like that. You have to worry about that as well. All right, cover the Put On Raiders podcast here. Dwayne Douglas, Ryan Holmes. We'll see you next time. Hopefully the Raiders are still. Hopefully we're talking playoffs next time. As far as that goes, not hoping like the whole half the league loses. Hopefully the Raiders can win this game. Listen, I guess they beat the Cowboys, so I mean, I guess they could beat this team. I just, this Cowboys this team is a little bit more disciplined than the Cowboys as well. I'm too young. That the offensive coordinator is too young to be he's not going to be a candidate, right? Marcus Brady? I don't think so. He's young. I don't think he's ready yet. He's only 1 year calling plays, right? Or I don't even think he calls the plays. He calls the plays, yeah. So he's gonna be tough. It's a tough situation when you're behind an offensive head coach. So I like him though. I think he'll be head coach down the line. I just don't think it's gonna be this offseason. Yeah, we'll see. All right, I'm just trying to find other alternates besides anybody but Versace. All right, Versace, whatever. I would take Bubba Ventrone over Rich Bisaccia. You heard it here first. You said Bobby Ventrone? Bubba Ventrone, the special teams coach for the Colts. Yeah, this guy's not. He's not. John. He's not Harbaugh. So come on. So please, he's not Harbaugh. There was only one Harbaugh. Can you imagine that it was Harbaugh or Garrett? Some teams get it right all the time. The Raiders were to pick Garrett. You know that for a fact. Yeah, that's tough. All right, Ryan. See you next time. All right. Take care. Take care. All right, fans, listen up. It's time to get that merch. Put on waivers and Put On Raiders merch. Sweatshirts, T-shirts, DM us, text us, sizes, orders. We got you.